are looking at Frank Karsten of the Netherlands up against Kyle Boggemers of the United States in feature match action here in round 3. Now you've got Hall of Fame v Hall of Fame. It's Brian Kibler up against Raphael Levy. And then as you sweep around, you find Daniel Pham of Canada facing the reigning world champion Guillaume Matignon of France. And over here at the 4th feature match table, you find Rich locked in deadly combat with Brian David-Marshall. In this show, we're going to talk to you all about Mirrodin Besieged. Let's get straight to the video screen. Let's bring you 10 cards that we're kind of interested in this weekend. Ardent Recruit, friend of yours from the United States, has a little view on this card.
Well, we've definitely seen the Ardent Recruit in some constructed decks, in some 60-card decks this weekend. Not gotten off to the best start through the first couple rounds of the tournament, but this is a card that is very much like Wild Mikado in the sense that, should there be extenuating circumstances, he's far more than a 1/1.
3/3 for 1.
Or 3/3 for 1. Fits right into a lot of the Tempered Steel strategies or, White Weenie, Quest for the Holy Relic type decks where you're looking to play a lot of guys, bounce them, do stuff. This is something we could see in Constructed. We will. It's definitely here in Constructed. Will it make the top tables? It has an uphill climb right now.
Okay, a card that comes at the back end of games is our next card, Triple White, White Sun Zenith, a great finisher for the blue-white control mage.
Certainly, and a great first pick for the 40-card mage.
Absolutely.
This is a card, like the first time I drafted the set, I opened my Mirrodin Besieged pack. My first pack of the draft, very weird to do it that way. Open the pack and I'm looking and it's like, okay, here's this really great common, but here's White Sun Zenith. Is this card too slow? Is it too... No, it turns out this card's awesome.
Because you play it whenever, don't you?
Right, I've played it on turn 4 and just made a blocker. I've made it on turn 5, made 2 blockers, or I've just played it, and then even in that same game, turn 8 or turn 9, you draw the card again because it shuffles back in, and you make
12 power of dice.
Yeah, you just make a fatal alpha strike for your opponent.
That's a fatal alpha strike with a lot of guys. Here's a fatal alpha strike in one package, if you like. Consecrated Sphinx. Brilliant in limited. Is this really a constructed finisher?
I have certainly played it in my Commander deck.
Okay.
All right, great. Just an amazing card in Commander. It's great one-on-one Commander. In multiplayer Commander, it's
foolish.
Just unreal, right? It's like if you get to 4 draw steps around the table, you're going to draw 8 cards, right? Just absolutely ridiculous. In Standard, though, it's competing with Grave Titan, Baneslayer Angel, Wormcoil Engine. And it's sort of a fatal flaw for this card is, for 6 mana, tap out, it's leaving its throat exposed.
Okay, and talking of throats, let's go for the throat. Here it is. You'd have to be under a rock not to have spotted this card in recent weeks. This is arguably the most format-defining card out there.
Well, certainly when I was talking to Zvi Moshowitz's group, as they were playtesting for this event, you're certainly used to a lot of players talking about sleeving up a deck. These guys were talking about scarfing up their deck. They were talking about not leaving any vulnerable, exposed throats
in their deck. And that's why a card like Kuldotha Forge Master can be potentially so good here, because it has no throat to expose.
Wormcoil Engine, even better than it was before, because now people aren't running Doomblades. They're looking for go for the throat here.
Brilliant though it is, Go for the Throat kills 1 creature. Here's a card that can kill a whole lot. Slagstorm.
This card, if you haven't picked up your playset of this yet, just go get it, trade for it, open some packs, do a seal deck, try to
sell grandma for it.
This is a card you're going to need to have for the next 4 years. Yep. You're going to need this for block constructed. You're going to need this for standard. You're going to need this for extended. This card, kills creatures, kills players, kills planeswalkers.
Yeah, and not just Jace the Mind Sculptor, planeswalkers.
Right, there are certainly multiple planeswalkers that you want to deal with this weekend.
Indeed. Let's move to another Zenith. This is Green Sun Zenith. This, I guess, fit very comfortably into the Valakut decks, which we're going to see a ton of this weekend.
Absolutely. Valakut is, I think, the right up there with blue-black control as the defined decks of this format. People, red, green Valakut. This is Primeval Titan 5, 6, 7, and 8.
And 8 Primeval Titans is pretty good.
Sure. It's an Avenger of Zendikar if you need it. It's an Overgrown Battlement on turn 3. It's just a phenomenal card that does whatever you need it to do at every casting cost. Oracle of Moldiah you get with it. It's great.
Lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff on one card coming up now. Here is the Planeswalker we talked about, Tezzeret. Now, this card intrigues me because obviously it's good. It's got any number of good things going on. But has it come too soon? Has this weekend come too soon?
No, I don't think
card?
so, actually.
Okay.
I think we'll see even more of it in the wake of this event. There are certainly people who chose not to play Tezzeret decks that they were like experimenting with in their playtesting sessions because they said, I wasn't able to figure out what the vulnerabilities of this card of my deck were. I didn't know where I needed to shore up. I didn't know if I played Preordain here or Jace here or this here or that here. And they may have left that deck on, but I'm telling you, I've seen this in aggressive Esper-colored weenie decks. Mm-hmm. I've seen this in control decks. I've seen it in combo decks. This is going to be a big card this weekend. I would not be surprised if we see this card playing late into Sunday.
Okay, a big card. Let's go for the biggest card. 12 mana, Blightsteel Colossus. Discuss.
Certainly one of the most discussed cards thus far from Mirrodin Besieged. It's the one-hit wonder. I mean, if this card hits you,
stay hit.
You're not getting up.
Mm-hmm.
11/11 for 12 mana. But honestly, the upper right-hand corner of that card is irrelevant, right? Because
we're gonna cheat.
We're just not gonna play fair with this card, right? We're gonna shape anew. We're gonna Kuldotha Forge Master, and these are things we see people doing in Legacy, and the cards and the tools are available in Standard. Sure, you don't have a Grim Monolith for your Forge Master, but you can still get there. There's a lot of mana acceleration.
Yep.
This card you're going to see play this weekend. I've already seen it, come up at the end of someone's turn, untap, attack, and I've seen that happen in a Standard match this weekend. So,
boom. Let's go from one of the most expensive to one of the cheapest. Just 1 mana for Signal Pest. Now, a 0/1. How much irritation can a 0/1 cause? Plenty, because of Battle Cry.
Especially when you say ought. That's a 0/1 for the rest of the world.
Oh. Sign language.
This card's great. We're seeing this in the Kuldotha red decks. So those are decks that want to sacrifice artifacts to Kuldotha Rebirth, make 3 goblins. So you make 3 goblins, you have this card. Those are all attacking for +1. You also throw a Bushwhacker in there, and then suddenly it's another +1. Everything's getting this card very pesky,
with Battle Cry.
very difficult to block. Normally this is the kind of card where you'd say, okay, well, I'll take it this turn. I'll block that guy. We'll get rid of your sort of Crusade effect, as it were. But he could only be blocked by creatures with flying or reach.
Not a lot of people playing
It gets a little
those.
tricky.
Yeah, absolutely. We have one more to show you. No power and toughness on this one. Now, uncards, unglued, unhitched, they're not allowed in Magic, generally speaking. But this is a card you want to be You want it to be the uncontested war zone, because then you are on a winner.
So in the uncontested war zone scenarios, you are playing an aggro deck, your opponent's playing a control deck. Savage. And they're just not doing any damage to you early, and you're just get in for an extra 1. Get in. They're like, oh, play a wall, play a Seagate Oracle, and you're like, oh, attack, give it +1, and this card's great. I've seen some contested war zones this weekend. I saw Kai Bude lose his contested war zone to a Baneslayer Angel.
Okay.
Which was a little upsetting for him.
No, that doesn't feel good, does it really?
His opponent's like, Baneslayer Angel, attack, steal your contested war zone, Baneslayer Angel, go. And he's like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, that'll work. That works in Constructed, works quite well in Limited, that kind of thing as well. And talking of Limited, we've got something to show you. We're going to lay out on here a little booster pack for you. This kind of Mirrodin Besieged is kind of what we're looking at here. We got a couple of, let's just sort of spread some stuff out here for you as we work our way through the pack. This is what the players are going to be doing later today, round 6. BDM, talk us through it. We've got the rare up at the top, and boy, is it exciting.
So, yeah, this is one of the rares that you really, when you look at the back of the pack, and you see this, you're not looking much else. You might see what's going to come around for me, but, I mean, this is the kind of card you're looking for. It's, just a board sweeping effect. It's second ability, which is you lose 2 life every time they block it. Assuming it's a chump block, they're losing 2 life. This is about as good a card as you're going to get when you open up a booster pack. you build your whole deck around it.
A lot of people are very excited at uncommon by the Corrupted Conscience.
Well, and blue uncommons in general, right? I mean, there's Corrupted Conscience, which is this great card. It's very similar to Mind Control, except it gives the creature Infect. By the way, you can play this on your own creature. You're playing a sort of maybe a hybrid deck with some non-infect and some infect creatures. You're thinking about stealing your opponent's creature, but you have a clear shot in the air. Maybe you'll finish them off unexpectedly. It's a very expensive Phyresis in that case.
Sure.
But
wow.
but it's still Mind Control, which is just terrific. Morta Pod. This is a card I know multiple players are just. They really just want to see this when they open the pack. It comes for 2 mana. It's essentially a Mog Fanatic, right? It comes into play. You get a Germ token. This equips to it, and you can sacrifice it for.
This guy's in Standard, by the way, this weekend.
Oh,
as well.
absolutely.
People are bringing this out the board for all kinds of shenanigans with, the kind of point.
And a great finisher in an Infect deck.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
you're just like, all right, sack it. Take 1 Infect, equip, sack it, take 1 Infect.
The last 3.
Yeah.
Get there.
Fangren Marauder is a card. This card really benefits from the switch in pick order, right? So now when you're drafting, normally you would go Scars, Mirrodin Besieged in the old world. In the new world, we're starting with Mirrodin Besieged and then moving on to Scars. People are building their decks around this card. They love it. The format's slowed down a little bit, and this is just like if you're not able to just kill your opponent, this is going to do some. This is going to put the game out of reach for you.
A couple of exciting commons to talk about. Burn the Impure here in red. Obviously fantastic against Infect. And talking of Infect, arguably the best common in the set is Blight Widow over here. Do you like it?
I'm really a Rotwolf fan. I got to be honest with you.
Truly, you prefer the Rotwolf?
I'm much more aggressive. I just want to be attacking. If they block and you kill, if you have a trick. And their guy, you draw a card. This card is phenomenal. I mean, either I'm happy to have either. I'd like to see them in running packs and not in the same pack, ideally.
And then we spoke with Guillaume Waffatapa this morning. Ica Wellspring, that's his #1 pick. Not necessarily over Massacre Worm, mind you, but he says I'm very happy if I open an Ica Wellspring, I'll take that.
I love this card. Flare Husk is. Another card, people are playing this in Constructed.
Sure.
Absolutely, but just a great card in Limited. It's again, it comes down as a creature, and you're able to sacrifice and do. You're able to move it around, get a nice little bonus on your guys. This is also a card.
Blister
Stick Shaman.
So good.
People have talked about not wanting to play Manamir in their decks because of cards like this. There's so many ways to deal 1 damage, whether it's Blister Stick Shaman or Virulent Wound or so.
As you can tell, there's a lot of good stuff going on in Mirrodin Besieged, and we are just a few hours away from the first draft of Pro Tour Paris 2011. Join us all weekend long for all the fun of Standard, all the fun of Draft. Not to mention, did we mention? Player of the Year. There it is again, in case you'd forgotten, Nelson Matignon. We'll see you later on the Tournament Centre. Bye.